The day June was finally old enough to return to the wild, the thing I worried about most wasn't whether she wanted to leave us. It was what Waffles would do if his best friend disappeared. For months, the two of them had hardly spent a moment apart. Looking at them, no one would believe one was a dog and the other was a raccoon. But the strangest part is that when they first met, June was just a tiny baby waiting to die beneath an old oak tree, and Waffles should have been the very first animal she was afraid of. It all started one afternoon when my husband came home from work. As soon as he walked through the door, he told me there was something very small sitting under the big oak tree in our yard. We hurried outside to take a look. There, beneath the tree, was the tiniest baby raccoon, trembling and completely alone. She kept looking up into the branches above her, as if she was still waiting for her mother to come back. We decided not to touch June right away. There was a chance her mother was still somewhere in the tree, waiting until everything was quiet before coming down for her baby, so we stepped back and waited. Hours passed, but nothing changed. After dinner, I went back outside to check again. June was still sitting in the exact same spot. Her cries had become much weaker, and the evening air was getting colder by the minute. And that's when I realized that if we kept waiting, she probably wouldn't make it until morning. I gently carried June inside. She was so tiny, she barely weighed anything at all. Honestly, I wasn't even sure she would survive. Her little body was freezing cold and so weak she could hardly move. During those first few days, I barely left her side. She needed constant warmth, regular feedings, and care around the clock. Every morning when I woke up, the very first thing I did was check to make sure she was still breathing. Thankfully, little by little, June started getting stronger. Every day she seemed just a little healthier than the day before, and as her strength returned, so did her real personality. She became endlessly curious about everything around her. If something could be opened, June absolutely had to find out what was inside. If she spotted a drawer, she had to know what it was hiding. If she found a cabinet door, she'd sit there patiently as if waiting for someone to open it for her. One day, I searched the whole house before finding her lying on her back in the hallway, happily playing with some little treasure she'd somehow discovered. It seemed like every single day, June found a brand new way to make all of us laugh. But while our family was slowly getting used to life with a baby raccoon, I found myself worrying about someone else. Waffles. I had no idea how our dog would react to having a wild animal living in the house. I was fully prepared for a slow introduction that might take days, maybe even weeks. Instead, it took only a few seconds. One afternoon, June was outside in the backyard when Waffles slowly walked over. I held my breath. He lowered his head and gently sniffed her. June sniffed him back, and then nothing happened. No barking, no growling, no fear. It was almost as if they'd just recognized an old friend they'd somehow been waiting to meet. From that day on, they were almost never apart. Whenever June wandered around exploring the yard, Waffles quietly followed a few steps behind. Never so close that he got in her way, but never far enough to lose sight of her either. Watching them, I couldn't help feeling like Waffles had quietly given himself a new job protecting June.
Are you sitting on her? Poor June.
June adored Waffles just as much. Every morning, the first thing she did was run off to find him. Then the two of them would spend hours chasing each other around the yard like a pair of puppies. They wrestled in the grass, played until they were exhausted, then flopped down side by side to rest. It was the kind of scene I could watch for hours without ever getting tired of it. Of course, June quickly became the spoiled princess of the family. If Waffles had climbed onto the kitchen counter, he would have been told to get down immediately. But when June did it, somehow everyone just laughed. She climbed onto the sink, scrambled up the cabinets, opened every drawer she could reach, all because she wanted to know what was inside. Every time we caught her, instead of getting upset, we'd just look at each other and smile.
I am upstairs.
I think what made June so lovable was her endless curiosity. To her, the whole world was one giant mystery waiting to be explored. A cardboard box was fascinating. A pair of shoes was fascinating. Even a kitchen towel could keep her entertained for 20 minutes while she carefully examined every inch of it. But no matter how mischievous June became, Waffles never stopped watching over her. If June lay down for a nap, Waffles would settle beside her a few minutes later. Sometimes she'd rest her little head on his back while she slept. Other times they'd curl up together and gently lick each other's faces, as if quietly saying everything's okay. At first, I believed I had rescued June because she needed a second chance at life. But as time went on, I started realizing that maybe Waffles was the one who received the greatest gift. Before June came along, he had always been gentle but also quiet and reserved. After she entered our lives, the house was suddenly filled with running paws, playful wrestling matches, and non-stop adventures. I honestly don't think I'd ever seen Waffles so happy. Eventually, the day I'd been dreading finally arrived. June had grown into a healthy, confident raccoon. She was strong enough, smart enough, and completely capable of surviving on her own. We knew we couldn't keep a wild animal forever. The only thing left to do was let her choose her own future. What touched me most was that Waffles seemed to understand that long before I did. The day June slowly walked toward the woods behind our property, Waffles didn't chase after her. He simply stood quietly at the edge of the field, watching until her little figure disappeared behind the trees. He didn't bark. He didn't try to stop her. He just accepted that sometimes loving someone also means letting them return to where they truly belong. Even now, when I think back on everything that happened, it still feels unbelievable. One ordinary afternoon, we walked outside to check beneath an old oak tree and found a tiny baby raccoon. We thought we were giving her a second chance at life. What we never expected was that June would also give Waffles his very best friend and give our family memories we'll treasure for the rest of our lives.